Hello, welcome to another episode of We Don't Talk About Uno, the podcast where we talk about Disney Lorcana trading card game, a game that has rules. Hi, David. How you doing?
I'm good because you're back, Simeon.
I am back. I've been away. I got back. I'm quite tired. I got back. I then did a Magic the Gathering pre-release, and I was very tired.
Yeah.
And I'm now even more tired. But hey, you know, it's great. Back to work tomorrow. So trying to squeeze out every bit of fun that I can out of my 2-week break.
I'm glad you consider this fun.
This is great fun. I get to hang out with you. I get to talk about geeky card games. This is great fun. What have you been up to?
I was hoping you'd come back. What have I been up to? I have also, it's been the Easter holidays, I guess, in lots of the Western world, that's true.
Yep.
So I've been visiting family and we watched Lilo and Stitch. I'd never watched that before. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that movie.
It's a good fun movie, yeah.
Feel-good movie. Yeah.
Everywhere. So while I was away, one of the things I did was go to Disneyland Paris. And everything is Stitch themed in the shops. People really love Stitch.
Stitch is amazing.
It's a cute mascot, yeah. But I would say almost as much Stitch stuff as Mickey stuff.
Wow.
On
so
that
Stitch
kind of level.
is really on the... There's a lot in Stitch at the minute, yeah.
Or people spend money on Stitch stuff. I don't know.
Well, that's how it goes, isn't it? They see what sells and they make more of that stuff.
Yeah.
If they run their businesses like someone like Disney would, then I guess
if they want to make money by selling people things in a theme park, then it was a lot of fun though. It was an awful lot of fun.
Good, yeah. And it was the first ever time you've been to Disneyland.
That was the first time I've been to Disneyland. The missus has been or went as a kid.
Has child been before? Did child go?
The child came. The child came. We'll hear from him later on. But it was a great time. As we were walking out, the child was so tired, so we stayed till super. I didn't realise it. I mean, I thought so in the UK, theme parks close about 5 or 6 p.m, don't they? About 6 p.m, you're kicked out. But this one is open till 11, so we didn't stay till 11. I think we stayed till like 10:15 or something.
There's fireworks, aren't there?
There are fireworks. It was drizzling in the evening. It was dry all day, and then it was drizzling in the evening, which was fine. We still were queuing for rides and going on stuff. It was great. Yeah. But he was so tired. It was way like 2 hours later than he usually goes to bed when we were leaving. And he was just like, I think maybe this was one of the best days of my life. I was like, brilliant. That's what you want. Because it was super fun for me. It definitely the best. So I've been to in the UK, I've been to like Legoland and I've been to Alton Towers. I'd say those are the big. In Italy, I've been to Gardaland, which was a massive theme park there, but that was fun. Probably fewer people know that. And this was, by far the best theme park I've been to, far and away. I think that a lot of theme parks seem to be just like a collection of rides, whereas this was much more the experience of being there. Everything's decorated in the same way. Even while you're queuing, there's animatronics entertaining you while you queue and stuff. So, it was just amazing. Really good. Really good.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Anyway, sorry, this isn't about my trip. My family holiday.
What was cool is I think that same day you went to Disneyland, you sent me a message about, look, there's some news on Lorcana.
Yeah, that was the day that the rules got spoiled. And Artem, who we had on the podcast and who runs Lorcana, dropped me a message and said, here's the rules. And I was like, kind of busy at the moment. In Disneyland, so that was
very
fun.
Cool.
Sent them on to you, and you sent the full rules. They then revealed the full rules back. So the game now has rules.
The game has rules,
which is good. So what are your initial? I was going to say, what are your initial impressions? But first of all, I think it's really important. If people are listening to this podcast, hopefully you've already seen the rules. If you haven't, we're not going to go through the rules and tell you how to play. We're not going to do a here's how do you play. Maybe we'll do that at a later date. Maybe we'll put a video together or something. But right now, we're just going to be talking about the game and the gameplay, not going through the rules, but I think it's important for you to have an overview. So if you're somewhere you can pause this video and go look at the rules, just go to DisneyLorcana.com where you can watch some videos where they explain gameplay. That's probably the easiest way to learn the rules. And then come back. If you're not somewhere, I'll just give people a quick overview. This is a constructed deck game, so each player turns up with 60-card deck, and there's a maximum of 4 copies of each card. So you can have different cards with the same character on, but each unique card you can have 4 copies of.
So you can have 4 copies of Mickey Mouse, but they can be. But then you have 4 copies of a different Mickey Mouse. You can have Brave Little Tailor and then the Sorcerer Mickey.
You could have. And that usually means when you're looking at games like this, that for a 60-card deck, you're usually picking 15 cards and having 4 copies of each of them.
Because that gives your deck consistency.
Okay. That's right. Yeah.
We'll talk maybe a bit more about that later.
Definitely. You play, the characters are called glimmers, and you play those, and the aim of the game is to collect lore, and lore is the win condition of the game. That's basically points. Points means prizes. You need the resource system is you need ink to play glimmers, and a lot of cards can be played face down.
The vast majority of the cards we've seen so far can be played as ink.
Yep. So you'll get your 60-card deck, you'll draw 7 cards to start, and most of those cards you'll just be able to, once a turn, play one of them face down. You won't get the effect of the card, but you will get to then use that to play your other cards. So you'll turn that sideways, which is called exhausting, is it? No?
Exerting.
You can exert the cards. You can turn them sideways to make ink, and then the top right-hand corner, which is what we... top left-hand corner. My goodness, I don't know my left from my right. Top left-hand corner, you just pay that price to play the cards that you want to play. So that's how the resource section thing works. It's a race to collect 20 lore, and there is some disruption as well. Do you want to tell us about that, David?
Yeah, so you can exhaust your glimmers, your characters, to collect lore, or you can exhaust them to challenge other people's characters, which would then disrupt their game because you might banish their characters, so their characters can no longer be collecting lore.
Yeah, so the same as you turn ink cards, the cards you place face down sideways to generate resources, you turn your character sideways to generate lore, which is points.
Or to challenge other characters. You can,
or to activate their abilities. Yeah.
Or, in some cases, activate their abilities.
Brilliant. Characters aren't the only cards, though.
There are items. So these are things that you would put into your play area and they'd stay out. There may be ways to remove them, but at the minute it looks like they stay out. Songs and actions. Songs are a type of action that characters can play. I really want to, I'll talk more about songs in a minute. I'm so excited about songs. And I think songs could be the way into this game for many people. And anyway, they help those action cards or the item cards. They help you move towards your goal or help you disrupt your opponent, or a mix of those. Yep.
Yeah, most things, most of the items seem to. So most of the lore production, so the win points production, seems to be turning your character sideways.
Yeah.
Most of the items so far that we've seen seems to be disrupting that in some way or helping yourself in some way.
Yeah. The one thing we haven't mentioned is that you have a maximum of 2 colours in your deck. So you can have amber and amethyst, or steel and sapphire, for example. You can mix and match those colours as you want, but there's a maximum of 2.
So we already knew that, but now we've seen the full rules. There doesn't seem to be any other reason for the colours. The colours seem to be themes, but there's no restriction as to which card you can play.
You don't need green ink to play a green card.
You don't need green ink to play a green card.
You just use ink to play any of that. It's like magical ink that can change into whatever colour you need it to change into.
A lot of people were expecting more than that from the colours. A lot of people were expecting, there should be some ink in-game thing, which we haven't seen yet. There might be, but I think a lot of people are expecting in-game. Okay, what does it mean to be a red card? Whereas those seem to be themes.
And they're quite clearly listed. I don't think we'll go through them today. We might another day, but they're stated on the website, and it says what each theme is. On the Lorcana official Lorcana website.
Yeah, but apart from the deck building restriction, there's no mechanical in-game mechanics to the games themselves. Right, that's the overview. That's all you get. If you want more than that, listeners, you can go and read the rules. There's a rule PDF on the DisneyLorcana.com that explains things really clearly. If you're into trading card games already, then having a look at that, literally 2 sides of an A3, it looks like, will explain things really clearly to you. If you're not, there's some videos there as well. And the videos are really, really good. They're really concise, but they explain things really clearly.
And if you're skipping ahead to find our opinions start now.
And I definitely won't put a time code in because I'll forget to do it. I'll just say, oh yeah, great, I'll put a time code in, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to forget to do it when I edit this.
So what was your initial impression, Simeon?
The first thing I thought was, it's leaked. This hasn't been announced. It's been leaked, the rules.
So the full rules weren't leaked, were they? Basically, a summary of gameplay was leaked from a magazine, and as a consequence of that, Lorcana then did release the full rules.
So there is a magazine called Game Trader Magazine. It's an industry magazine. It's a magazine that they send to game stores to say, would you like to stock these things? It's a distributors, game stores, industry people magazine. And each month comes out a month in advance. So their May copy comes out in the middle of April.
That's like most magazines.
Which is like most magazines. Yeah. It looks like what's happened is that the Ravensburger team thought that this was coming out later than it came out. Or maybe even Game Trader Magazine told them that it would be later. Or they were expecting to come out. They were expecting to be able to do a reveal. It looks like they're expecting to be able to do a reveal. And instead what happens is the bulk of the rules were in this Game Trader Magazine article. That as soon as a game store received their copy, probably
someone took a photo and put it online.
Yeah, took some photos, put it online. And somebody else took some high definition scans because it was interesting people. Put them online too. And it looks like it caught Ravensburger on the back foot, and they were then left going, right, push it live. So a few hours later. That's just what it looks like from the outside. Now, this is a massive company. They should be able to do their own reveals and get that right, I feel. Now, that's not a criticism. I don't know what happened here, but it does mean that from a consumer point of view, I don't know. I wanted to see what their big reveal was. It's the same. Like when a trailer leaks for a movie, I'm like, I don't want to watch the rubbish quality thing that leaked that probably wasn't the final cut of that trailer. I want to be in a cinema not expecting the next, I don't know, MCU trailer to come on. And it comes on, or it's the trailer that I have seen the 30-second trailer, but it's the full 3 minutes and I see it there on the big screen and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not a big concern.
Yeah.
But my initial thought was, well, I shouldn't have leaked either.
So you feel like they and probably even more Disney should be in control of the narrative around the release of the game?
I think someone dropped the ball.
And in some ways, that makes a more interesting story. And maybe we wouldn't be talking about it so much if they hadn't have dropped the ball. I think.
Oh yeah, or maybe it was an intentional. Or maybe they were like, you know what? The thing that excites people is the cards. We'll carry on putting out the cards, and whenever the rules come out in these magazines, well, we'll release it then and we'll drop it then.
Yeah, it certainly created a lot of discussion and excitement. Anyway,
yeah, there was a lot
within the community that's excited about
Lorcana. That's the thing that gets me. So within the community, I think we were saying before, there's like 1,000 people on the Discord, and roughly the same on the Facebook groups. Yeah. So within this tiny population of people that will get drowned out as soon as this game actually goes live. In comparison to the player base, the people who are interested at this from launch.
So you think there may have been a strategy that would have reached more people in terms of how they launched the rule set?
Yeah, I just think about when they launch a new Pokemon game or something. They've got literally the director of the Pokemon company doing a YouTube video. They schedule it. They say, here it all is. And there's there's a real lot of hype around that because so many people watch that video, that then gets more reach. I don't think they've particularly extended their reach by revealing the rules, and I think they could have done that better. Now, sorry, we're spending a lot of time on this point. I don't think it needs to be. I don't want to talk around this too much, but I think it's potentially a missed opportunity. Anyway, what was your initial impression?
I had a few, but one of them was that the game is very similar, or some of the gameplay is very similar to a game that we played a couple of years ago, or maybe a bit longer than that, called KeyForge.
Yes.
Which wasn't a collectible card game. I wouldn't call it a collectible card game. It was kind of hard to explain. Like, every deck you bought was unique, but you had to buy a whole deck.
Yes.
So they'd use like print-on-demand technology. It was like cutting edge at that time that they could print every deck. Unique in the sense that no two decks had this exact same set of cards in them. That's what I mean by unique.
So each set came out with the 300 cards of that set, but that combination of those 300 cards, you were the only person to own that combination of those cards, and you had to play those against you.
Yeah.
Even at the time, that felt a bit gimmicky, but a lot of people really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it certainly got KeyForge a lot of attention.
It got me to play it.
I think that's what you to play. It was interesting.
Oh, at launch, it was like, this is what?
Yeah,
what?
What's going on? Anyway, that's not what makes Lorcana similar to KeyForge. What makes Lorcana similar to KeyForge is you've got characters on your board that are cards, and you can either use them to work towards a goal, collecting lore. In KeyForge, it was collecting amber to make keys.
Yep.
But in Lorcana, you're collecting lore. And so you can tap characters sideways in KeyForge to collect amber, or you can tap them sideways to disrupt your opponent's board state. So it was very similar gameplay to Lorcana. Now, for me, and for lots of people, I think, KeyForge fell flat in the end. And for me, it was quite quickly. For you, you played it quite a lot longer. Some of my other friends played it a lot longer, but it didn't.
Some people are still, so it's now been bought by a different club.
Yeah, people are still playing it, but it's not in our local game store, or there's not tournaments like there used to be. Or
no. So they're ramping up towards a kind of second wave of it, as in the company that bought the IP.
They're going to be lucky to get buy-in from stores, I think, for that.
Their Kickstarter was really successful, but I don't know how many people are going to want to keep going. The biggest issue that I had with KeyForge was that a lot of the decks that you bought this unique deck, and a lot of them just weren't fun to play. It's not that they weren't good, it's that they weren't fun.
Because they were built by an algorithm, not by a human.
Well, they were, not even necessarily by an algorithm. They were, some of them seemed like a random assortment of cards.
Well, the algorithm made them unique, I think. I think that's what I mean by the algorithm.
Yeah. But I've got literally a box of like maybe 18 to 20 KeyForge decks upstairs.
So you'd end up spending $10 on a deck.
Of that, 3 of them I would probably want to play.
And you bought a lot of decks, and then a lot of them were just like, this isn't that fun.
Yeah. But that was the problem. The mechanics of KeyForge weren't the thing that that made me leave. The thing that made me leave was the kind of the economics of it, and just the fact of the gameplay of playing with decks that most people wanted to play sealed, where you open up a brand new deck and then play that against somebody else at a tournament. And that just ended up with me playing a lot of things that I didn't find fun.
Yeah. So if you'd asked me when I was playing KeyForge, how would you fix this, or what would make this better?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have had the ideas then that I would have now, because I've played a lot more games since. But what Lorcana has done is what I would do to fix KeyForge. So the big one that we've just been talking about is you build your own deck.
You build your own deck, totally. Yeah.
That makes the whole difference to me in some ways.
And I think a lot of people were talking about that when KeyForge was popular. Was we could have some kind of constructed thing. The problem being KeyForge didn't have a resource system. You played as many cards as you wanted.
That's the other that's the other thing I didn't like about KeyForge. Like in Lorcana, you have 2 colors that you can pick. You have 6 colors that you can pick from, but you have 2 in a deck. In KeyForge, there were also 6, if I'm remembering right, or maybe 8, but you have 3 in a deck. And then at the start of your turn, you had to pick one of those, and you could play cards from that house, it was called. And I never found that fun. It didn't work for me. Maybe other people enjoyed it, but that just didn't work for me. So the resource system in Lorcana, I find much more interesting.
Okay, so looking at the rules, once I got past this is KeyForge bit of you can use your characters to either generate lore or challenge other characters. Once I got past that, the resource system really interests me. So I think this has been done. This has been done already in. There was another. I saw it mentioned online. I've never played the World of Warcraft trading card game, but apparently they did. They used this system where you put your cards face down from your hand, So I had talked about potentially...
And Duel Masters, Ryan Miller. I think
was that the same thing, was it? Yeah. So I had talked about guessing that maybe you discarded a card to generate ink. Instead, you're kind of putting it...
You're making it that you can't use it anymore, but it's a permanent thing.
So it's the same exactly, but it's the same decision of, am I going to play this card or am I going to get rid of this card to generate resources? And that is that's a decision-making process. First of all, I enjoy that. I like that kind of decision-making process.
Do I want my Captain Hook out on my board, or do I use my Captain Hook as ink so I can get something else out? Yeah.
Yeah, and also, do I play my early cards early to generate value, or do I play them as ink because I want to play the bigger things later in the game?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting decisions. Yeah.
So I think that will lead to some really interesting decision trees. That's yeah.
The last thing I didn't like about KeyForge was you had to make 3 keys, and to get each key you had to get 6 amber, and then there was lots of mechanics in it where you could disrupt the other person's amber. So you'd be like, "Oh, I'm just about to get there. Oh no, they've just ruined my turn." And I found that really annoying. That could happen in Lorcana, that there are ways to disrupt someone's law.
Later on, once you had already left the game.
I don't think there's going to be so many. There's not the 3 checkpoints in Lorcana like there is in KeyForge. Yeah. So that makes a difference as well. Yeah.
But also later on in the game, there were things that once you had already left, there were things that unmade your keys. So you could.
So it was even worse.
It was even worse. Yeah. It was even more swingy.
Yeah. Or worse in the sense of what I find
worse.
frustrating.
So that was it. Yeah. If you didn't enjoy that, you really wouldn't have enjoyed the later sets. Obviously, a lot of people still really enjoy that game.
Yeah, so I'm excited because it's got all the things that I liked about KeyForge and fixed all the things I didn't. At least it feels like that. I haven't played Lorcana yet, but it feels like if you could fix KeyForge and make it a really interesting game, you might end up with Lorcana. And like you said, it's not the same game. There's a significant overlap, but it's not that this is KeyForge. It's not.
Yeah, and also I think that it seems so far from what we've seen, and I think every conversation we're having at this stage is very much around that whole thing of like, okay, we've only seen a third of the cards of the first set, and that's the first set. They've designed this. They've probably already designed the first 5, 6, 8 sets.
I'm not sure they've got that far, but
they design Magic 2 years in advance. So they design.
They've certainly been working on Lorcana for 2 years.
And they
from when they've hired people. Yeah,
and at which point, well, you'd think maybe they've got the first 4 sets already in the bag.
Fair, yeah, good point. Or if not in the bag, they're certainly play testing them, and balancing them out.
Well, I mean, they're probably set 2's probably got to go to the printer soon. Yeah. Anyway, with all of that kind of set, I mean, I don't know, but it does look like the cards that we've already seen are much more centered around that racing towards the goal, rather than stopping your opponent from racing towards that goal. Yeah, or at least that's what I read from what we've already seen.
So the gameplay seems fun, but I think my perspective is, even if the gameplay isn't like amazing, as long as there's some skill involved, then for me it will be a fun game, because a lot of it's about collecting the cards and building the deck. So much of collectible card games, and that's what I like about collectible card games and trading card games, is there's almost a solo game element to it, but that also can be a group experience of building a deck, and that's a big part of it as well.
No, that's an important point. Of that is that it is a trading card game. The success of a trading card game isn't just gameplay. It's got to be collectible, and it's got to be I'd
say the gameplay of Pokemon is pretty simple, but Pokemon's like,
oh, people love it. Yeah. We were at the pre-release, the Magic pre-release a couple of days ago. The Pokemon pre-release was the same time, and there were loads of people there enjoying like strategic decisions at the level of Pokemon. Yeah, that's interesting.
So we've got a few more specific observations, but before we get into those, I wanted to ask you a question, Simeon.
Ask me the question. Go.
It's where you think Lorcana sits in like the range of games, because at least in terms of board games, because I come up from a board gaming background, rather than a trading card game background, there's kind of a spectrum. And at one end, there's what's called a Meritrash. I don't know if that's the best name for it, but that's a game that's based on theme, and it can be really swingy. It's about big stories and experiences.
Sure.
Or the other end, you have like a Euro game, which is much more I would say, elegant and refined, and it's about fair design. So making sure each player.
I think our listeners need to understand how apologetic David looks right now.
Yeah.
As somebody in Europe, as somebody in Europe, the landmass. As somebody in the continent of Europe.
Who define these terms? I don't know. Maybe we need to do an episode on that.
Yeah. No. These are terms that coming from a trading card game background, I hadn't really heard these before I started looking at stuff on Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
I think obviously thematically there is a big theme. These are Disney characters. This is a card game about Disney characters.
Yeah.
From a gameplay point of view, when I was growing up, I had a box set of Othello, and it said Othello, a minute to learn, a lifetime to master. And that was the tagline that they had promoted Othello with at the time. And it does seem, at the moment, Lorcana seems to me like something that is very simple rules. There's I feel like the child's not going to have any trouble understanding what he can do on his turn. However, there will be a load of strategic decisions which will give people a slight edge. So I think being very good at Lorcana will take skill. We'll take practice and skill.
Yeah, and it's not that thematic games don't take that, but I see what you're saying.
So I think, is there a high thematic? Yeah, and some people will be put off by this game simply by the fact, it's got Mickey Mouse on it. I'm not playing that.
It's a Mickey Mouse game.
and other people will love it because, it's got Mickey Mouse on it. I'm definitely playing this game. So there is that thematic element. I do think that if people want to buy a couple of starter decks and play it at the kitchen table and play it 12 times, and they'll enjoy that experience, and then that's fine. But I also think there's enough there for people who really want to game ahead. If I generate all of the resources now, then all of my characters will be tapped, so people can banish them, and they'll be thinking 3 or 4 turns ahead in their mind, and they'll be counting up not just how do I get to 20, but how do I get to 20 in the most consistent way and in the most robust and way possible, in the most defensive way.
Yeah. For me, the question came up because I feel like of any of the collectible card games I've seen or played, this is leaning most strongly into the Eurogame territory, and maybe that comes from the Ravensburger side as well, because their background is Eurogames.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is it's because it's about generating resources rather than taking out your opponents. So it's about building an engine almost, a bit like the Splendor board game or Dale of Merchants that we play sometimes, where you're working towards a goal rather than working to defeat another player.
Yeah, and the interaction is to make sure that you reach that goal first, not to just to disrupt the opponent for that sake of that, and that being a primary game mechanic. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
but there's certainly big theme elements too. Okay, let's get into some more specific gameplay observations then, Simeon. Where would you like to start with that?
Okay, my first thing, looking at the rules, the actual gameplay was, I started looking at the PDF of the rules, and the PDF starts by saying, great, you shuffle up your 60 card deck and you draw a hand of 7 and then you draw 1 a turn. I thought that is not many cards, considering that each turn you're probably putting 1 card in your inkwell and hopefully playing a card. To actually maximize your resource. Playing a character or an item to maximize your resource. If you only get 1 card per turn on turn 1, you've got 7 cards and you get rid of 2 of them. So you're down to 5 cards. You get a card back each turn, but you're playing
2, you're on 6 cards.
Definitely 2. So you go down and down and down. And by the mid game, I think we're going to be struggling for cards with the cards that we've already seen. So the cards that draw you cards seem to be really high costed and don't seem to be that efficient. A lot of them.
So the magic mirror, you have to. We've talked about this before. You have to spend 2 to get it out, and then it costs you 4. You need to spend on the magic mirror each time you want to draw a card. That's a lot.
That is so much. Well, that's it. Before turn. And that would be your entire turn 4. Let's say you played that on turn 2.
Well, you could play it on turn 2 or 3, and then play it, and then you activate it on turn 4. Yeah,
on turn, but you can't.
But then you can't play something else on turn 4. Yeah.
Exactly, that's it. You can't draw the card and then go, oh, great, I just drew the thing I really needed for my turn 4. Yeah, and the other cards we've seen so far with draw a card seem to be either very conditional, like Robin Hood, your opponent has to have more cards than you have for you to be able to draw a card when you play it.
So that's catch-up mechanic?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's fine. I think it will be a good, powerful card. In particular, it will be good if you've gone first. In half of the matchups, your opponent will likely have one more card than you for most of the game. So that's good.
What about Maurice?
Yeah, Maurice. But again,
play an item to draw a card.
Yeah. So play an item to draw a card, which is brilliant. However, the items. Well, first, hang on. That's probably the best card draw we've seen so far with Maurice. I feel. The problem with that, though, is that at the moment, items don't generate lore.
So they're not moving you towards
they're
the
not
end
moving exactly. So I could see
you're not going to pack a deck full of items. You can't have Maurice and then his workshop of all these different items. That's not going to work.
Yeah, I play an item deck in Commander in Magic the Gathering. I've got a robot deck.
It's the most terrifying deck.
Is that the worst one? Do you think? Is that worse than my elves?
Yeah, because the elves you just put flying things and they die.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah. So but a lot of the artifacts, as it's called in Magic, a lot of them do what you want. They kill your opponents in Magic. But the items we've seen are support cards. So you're not going to put more than half your deck full of support cards, are you? Or maybe you will. Maybe there's a deck with a very high top end that does something explosive at the end. Maybe it combos off at the end. But I think so far from the cards we've seen, I think we need to see a lot more card draw for it not to be a game of really managing your hand really well.
But that said, a lot of things seem highly costed in this game.
Yeah, but that's also but that exacerbates it for me because the high cost means you have to play. If I want to play a 6 cost card on turn 6, I have to have put a card in my inkwell every turn of the game. I can't go, you know what, I've got 4 ink in my inkwell, that's enough for me for the rest of the game.
Yeah, true.
So that generates card disadvantage as well. Simply casting higher cost or playing high cost glimmers is going to put people at a card disadvantage. Yeah.
So card draw is important, and there's not much of it yet.
Yeah, I'll say that.
And I think the more I've played collectible card games, like when I started playing them, I was like, you draw a card on your turn, that's fine. Why would you want to draw cards? That's just a boring thing. Why would you want to do that? But now it's the first thing I focus on in any deck. It's like, is there enough card draw in this deck to keep the deck going through the game? So I've always got choices in my hand.
Yeah, and something for people who haven't played trading card games before, there is this kind of like mapping out your game plan is really important with these games where you play where you have 1 resource on turn 1 and 2 resources on turn 2, and so you're ramping into the game. You've got to have your deck built in a way that you can do that. But obviously, if you draw that 1 card on turn 6 and that's the one you need, then it could be a 1-cost support card, and you're like, oh, well, never mind. I put all of my 6 and 7 drop cost cards in my inkwell already because I couldn't play them, and here I am, and I've got a support cards in the late game. There are some solutions to that. We've seen some cards already. We'll talk about those later. Okay. But I think, card advantage so far it seems like hand management and card advantage is going to be a big challenge.
Which means if you can solve that, you'll probably do well.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, you've put together most of these observations. So if I'm saying them, it's something that you've said to me first. But one of the other things you pointed out was that there's no interaction, and I don't think it will ever be, interactions on your opponent's turn. So you do your turn, they do their turn, you'll do your turn. How does that make you feel? What are your reflections on that? Okay,
so I think the reason that this is a concern to me isn't the 2-player game. So if I'm playing at a tournament and I'm playing against somebody who really knows what they're doing, and I play my turn, they play their turn, I'm paying attention because I want to know what they're doing, thinking about my next turn.
Yeah.
They say, great, I've done my thing now, you play your turn. And they might kill one of my things, or make me discard a card, or whatever in their turn. But their turn is all of their actions. My turn is all of my actions.
It's a bit like chess or checkers. You're really focusing on what the other player's doing. Any two-player game.
Yeah.
So even though you're not able to do anything in their turn, you're kind of working out what they're thinking and where they're going, and maybe what their deck's doing, trying to puzzle that out. Yeah,
yeah, totally. However, this is a game that's designed from the ground up for multiplayer as well. It says that in the rules. It says you play multiplayer exactly the same as you play two-player, but you just go round in a circle. And that to me is super attractive for any game. I much prefer playing games with more people involved than just two. But that's a lot of time. If I'm sat in a pod with 4 people and I play my turn, and that takes me, not my turn 1, that takes me seconds, but I play my turn 5, that takes 3 minutes. And then I've got 5 minutes. Yeah. And then what do? Sit there for 10, 15 minutes waiting for it to come back to me with other people taking actions. And I'm going to try and pay attention to their turns, and I'm going to try and give them the benefit of me actually listening to what they're doing and paying attention. But that's not a thrilling game.
No. See, for me, I think in Lorcana I'll prefer the two-player game to the multiplayer game, whereas in Magic I much prefer the multiplayer game, because in Magic the Gathering a two-player game is like a zero-sum game, so you're just trying to get that little bit ahead of your opponent to win the game. It's whereas in a multiplayer game in Magic the Gathering, you can sit there mostly focusing on your own thing. So I guess that's Lorcana, you mostly focus on your own thing, but then you've got to be aware of the politics of the table and what's going on around you, and that's much more interesting. Yeah. But if you can't interact with what's going on until your next turn, that's you just might tune out, or I do.
Well, I tune out of Magic games, and that you've got to stay super engaged. You've got to stay super engaged in those games. Yeah. So I do wonder, I'm going to have a mental note of, we're going to use my phone for the law counter app, which I'm sure
I'm not sitting on my phone.
So that if I get a text, I don't read it, and we're gonna so that I stay engaged with the game. Now that's not saying it could be that turns go really quickly, and that's not a problem. It could be that
but you're going to be attacked. You're going to be attacked.
Yeah.
Your characters
are going to be challenged.
Yeah, so there will be things happening when it's not your turn.
Yeah, but there's nothing I can do about that. They say I'm doing this. I don't have to make decisions. Yeah, it's literally.
There are some things that when they're banished, something else happens.
Yeah, but that's an automatic. This happens. It's not.
It's not. Well, it's still. So I'm thinking Cruella de Vil, isn't that something? It happens, but you still have to make a choice.
There will be certain things, but most of the time it's going to be like, well, I've done my thing. Now you do your thing.
Yeah.
The benefit of that, obviously, is that for new players, they don't have to go, well, when can I play this?
Yeah, it makes the whole game much, much simpler, because you don't have what's called instant speed interaction when you have to decide in what order does this instant stuff happen, because instant stuff still needs an order.
Exactly, yeah. And certain games have done that in different ways. I think something that I really enjoyed, we both played Epic for a while, which was a White Wizard game. And on there you had 2 windows in your opponent's turn when you could play something. So that was really clear. Or the other one, Villainous, is a bit like that. The Villainous has response cards that you can play on other people's turns, but doesn't happen very often. Maybe we'll see that in the future, though. We've seen, as I keep on having to remind myself, we've seen a third
of the first
set, and they've already got other sets in the pipeline. So that's great.
Okay, some more observations, Simeon.
More observations. Okay, something that I thought was this isn't my observation. Something I read online and thought that is a very good point. Is you've got a 60-card deck.
Yeah,
you can have 4 copies of each card, and all of the cards do something. So there's no resource cards.
Yeah,
and there's no. There are.
Well, every card, most of the cards are resource.
Oh
cards.
That's it. Sorry, most cards can be resource cards.
Yeah,
but there's no basic cards that just go in every deck. Now, the reason that this person was citing this as a concern is that means that the cost of the deck probably goes up. So I'm not talking about just having fun with your friends. Let's see what we open, playing on the kitchen table, the first few weeks when we're learning the game and just trying out different strategies and just jamming stuff together. Let's see what we open and let's see what we put together, and that's fun. I'm talking about competitive play a year into the game. It's super competitive.
You want the best deck, you're going to be spending maybe a lot of money to get those cards, 4 of each of...
You find the 15 best cards and you want the 4 of each. Now that bomb rare...
Maybe $20, $30, $40, $50 each card.
Yeah, they could be that expensive, and you don't just need one of them, you need 4 of them, and a lot of those, some of them might be commons, but a lot of them might be a higher rarity, and there are 5 rarities. So a lot of card games will have either 4 rarities or 5 rarities, but the higher rarities will be visual treatments. So it'll be that it's got a foil background, or it'll be that it's textured or something like that. Okay. But here we've got 5 rarities, and the cards that are printed at a super high rarity, which is called legendary. We don't know how many of those will be in circulation. We don't know how many come in a booster box. We don't know how likely it is to open that.
I would guess there'd be one or 2 in a booster box, would be my guess.
Yeah, so... I think in your average, back when I used to draft, it used to be around about 4 mythic rares, which is they have 4 rarities.
But that's a bigger booster box.
And that was
Lorcana
36.
has smaller booster boxes.
Yeah, so that was 36. Lorcana also has more chance of pulling rares. So in the 12 card booster, there's 2 slots that can be rare, so and then that are above
rare or higher,
and also a foil that could be a rare.
So there's potential of 3 rares in a pack, 2 at minimum. And up
to 2. So I don't know what I don't know what this breakdown will be, but it does mean that for those super competitive decks,
but this is just at the super competitive level. I don't play Magic at that level or any games at that level,
but I might want to play Lorcana at that level.
Yeah, fair point.
And also for the people who do play Lorcana, if you are looking at because Ryan in the interviews has talked a lot about competitive play. They've already released their competitive play agenda. If you look online, there's
like a whole sticker set that you get. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
a season thing with the promos that you get. Now this is just for game store play.
Yeah,
but you're gonna do better if you win more games, aren't you? And I think most people enjoy winning, so we'll want to have better decks. And if I'm looking, the thing for me is always when I look at if I wanted to compete at a high level of gaming, which I've been to the X-Wing European Open and I really enjoyed that. I might want to do that again sometime. For X-Wing, I think I spent £50 on the little plastic spaceships.
You must have got a bargain for your spaceships.
Well, I got 4 Fang Fighters. I mean, for people, people who aren't into X-Wing won't care. But the squad that I built for that didn't cost me that much money, and I took that to a European tournament and I didn't do badly. If I want to play Magic the Gathering at the highest level, those decks are costing me hundreds and hundreds of pounds. If I want to play Pokemon at that same high level, it's probably only costing me between 80 to 120,
I think
150
Lorcana will aim to keep the price at that level. That would be my guess, is they would aim at Pokemon levels rather than...
But Pokemon has a lot of the cards are basic resources in their deck. So by definition, all of your energy cards, or most of, sorry, not all, most of your energy cards will be super cheap. And the trainer cards and item cards in Pokemon that people put in their decks, they print into the ground. They keep on printing them at common.
Okay, so a lot of the cards that you need
to
make your deck function.
A lot of the best cards in Pokemon
that aren't the thematic, that aren't the thing that give the theme to your deck, but they make the deck work.
Exactly. Now the big high end Pokemon, the thing that's going to win you the game.
That's what's expensive.
Okay. But you only need a couple, a dozen or 20 of those cards that are super expensive. So the rarity paired with the fact that you have 60 card deck with 4 of each card.
60 card deck, actually thinking about it, it's effectively a commander deck in Magic, isn't it? Because a commander deck is 60 cards plus resource cards.
Most 100 card decks in Magic are
60 to 63
are probably 60 cards plus your resources.
So that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah, so I think the cost is, who knows? And also some of the cards that I'm most excited about seem to be common. So I'd like to think
that's true.
That maybe they thought about
they've not
this.
just made things rare because it's a cool character, like Elsa's uncommon, isn't
Yeah,
it? Which will mean she's pretty easy to get hold of.
Yeah, so. And some of the most... some of the things that I think are most powerful, we'll talk about those later.
Yeah.
The new cards that I think are powerful. Some of them are common and uncommon.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I did see a discussion online about whether 30 cards or 45 cards, like you could have 2 cards maximum and then a 30 card deck, like what difference would that make to the variance? Not a huge amount.
Yeah.
Is it just that they want to sell a lot of cards? Is that why they've made it 60 cards?
Well,
because
how
a 30 card deck is, or even a 40, 45 card deck, that's just much more easy to shuffle, easy to carry around. It's just a nice...
Easier to get together in the first place. Because I don't know whether you've had this with trading card games, but like when my kids wanted to build a Pokemon deck, they had already been collected and had Pokemon cards, but scraping enough of each card together I've opened 8 booster packs of Pokemon. Yeah, you probably don't have enough to get a full deck together. But yeah, a 45 card deck with 3 of each card probably doesn't play that different to a 60 card deck.
Yeah. And if you're playing at home, there's no reason you couldn't do that, right?
Totally. If you turned up one night and said, I've got this deck idea, but it's this. Also, I'm super excited to see the formats that people say, thanks, Steve and Ryan. That's a great game you've designed for us.
And this is what we're doing with it.
We're going to do this instead.
That is going to be so exciting.
Because that's what is excited me with like the format that I play of Magic is like, thanks, Richard Garfield. We're not going to play that at all. Yeah. We're going to do something totally different. I love at the moment, I don't know if you see it online, there's this format in Magic called Dan Dan, which is you play a shared deck with this fish creature is the primary win con. You play a shared deck and it's all about top deck manipulation and trying to get your opponent to stumble. A super tactical mind game format of Magic the Gathering.
Wow,
it's got nothing to do with what we play. Nothing to do at all with what we play. And a lot of the cards in it are are now relatively expensive. So people are just printing off proxies for those things. And because it's a shared deck, so it doesn't matter. And I love it when people do just like, yep, that's a great game. Now we're going to do it differently.
Well, I've seen recently somebody integrated the board game Splendor, which is a really popular resource engine building game with Magic. So one of the main problems or issues with Magic is having enough resources. So they turned the resource generation part of Magic, they use Splendor to do that, and then you get your resources from that to play your Magic cards.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I've seen a few of those like mash-up games where it's just like, oh yeah, we're going to do this and then we're going to do that and then we're going to sounds like fun for people who have entire weekends.
Yes.
For that kind of game.
I'm not sure maybe we'll invent a fan format ourselves, but it's more about seeing what rises to the top, what people really enjoy, and then trying that for me.
I've already got one in the works, Dave.
You've got one? Okay.
I've got one in the works.
I apologise. I take that back. Take that token.
Right. Were there any other observations you wanted to make about the game? Hang on, you were talking about songs earlier. Why are you excited about those?
I'm excited. So songs are actions. So actions are things that you can do. For example, there's an action that banishes stuff. There's an action that draws you a card, if I'm right. There's different cards that are actions.
Yes.
And they help you in some particular way. Actions can also have a subtype of song. So it can be a song action.
Yeah.
And if it's a song action, you can then look at the cost of that song, and rather than paying that from your inkwell, you can exhaust one of your characters that has a value of at least the same value as that song to then sing that song.
Yeah.
Now, why that's cool is you can get Scar singing Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid. That's why I think that's cool. And I know you've told me not to sing, so I'm not going to do the impression, but...
Amazing. Yes, for copyright reasons, we will not be singing the songs on this podcast.
Or you could get Ariel singing what's Scar's song. That would be funny as well.
I've no idea, but yes, you're right. Yeah, I think that...
Be Prepared. Ariel singing Be Prepared. That would be funny.
Yeah, I love the absurdity of when we play these games, and it just It's like it just doesn't work. I think I've said before about my equipment deck in Magic, where I've got this, big, massive, muscular guy, and I put loads of equipment on him, and he's carrying 17 different swords, and he's wearing crystal slippers from Cinderella because that's a good equipment, apparently. You just kind of load them up, and it's just like totally impractical, and I find that hilarious.
Yeah,
I find sometimes humor in games just doesn't work. For me, the Magic the Gathering unsets, the joke sets that they publish. That to me doesn't work. For me, for my tastes, Cards Against Humanity does nothing for me because it's the game making the jokes, not the person. But when almost, not unintentionally, I mean, I'm sure they're aware of this, but when you've got something a bit like that, where you've got like a villain singing a cutesy little character's song to play an action, that's going to be fun.
And I think it has the potential to bring a whole different audience into the game. Because I've got relatives who love Disney, and what they mean by they love Disney is they love Disney songs. So there's people that love Disney for the songs,
definitely.
But there's also people that like I'm going to call it the kinesthetic aspect of games, like they like action in like physical action in games. And there are people that will play Lorcana and will sing the song in that character's voice as they're playing it. And that's what that's the main thing that they'll enjoy about Lorcana is doing that. There are people, and I think that it brings in a different audience, I think.
Yeah, totally.
The other thing I wanted to say is I wanted to talk about something called what in Magic the Gathering is called ramp.
Okay.
So we've talked about how on turn 1 you'd play an ink into your ink well. On turn 2 you'd play an ink into your ink well. So you'd have 2 ink available on turn 2, and on 3 you play. So ramp is getting ahead of what the curve is. So curve is on turn 1 you have 1, on turn 2 you have 2, on turn 3 you have 3, and so on. So with ramp, you might on turn 3 you might actually have 4 ink if you've ramped.
Exactly, yeah.
Or on turn 6 you might have 8 ink because you've used what's called ramp to get ahead. And there are cards available such as One Jump Ahead and Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer allow you to do this, to get ahead in some way with your resource generation. And I just think that's a cool part of the game as well. And I think that'll be, just as we talked about how card draw will be important, because it gives you an advantage if you've got more cards in your hand and more choices that you can make. This will also be really important in terms of winning the game. It doesn't seem like an exciting thing, but it's just something that...
Well, this is a race.
Yeah, it's a race, and this is getting you a turn ahead in the race.
Exactly. Yeah. If I'm playing my
some ways,
absolute bomb card,
I hadn't even thought of it like that. Yeah, it's even more important than when a game isn't a race. Yeah.
My favourite ramp card, the song we were just talking about songs. Let It Go.
Is that a ramp card? I haven't
okay. No. Well, this is it. This is a really interesting card.
Okay, I'm going to look it up.
Okay. Here we are. Action song. It's blue. It costs 5. You can put it in your inkwell as well. It says, put chosen character in their player's inkwell face down and exerted.
So you can use it to... Well, you tell me what's interesting.
That's it. That's exactly what you're going to say. You can use it offensively and you can use it to ramp. So I can put...
It's expensive for ramp at 5, but yeah, it does give you ramp.
Yeah, that's it. So if late game, I'm either getting rid of your best thing...
And putting it into your inkwell.
At the expense of giving you more resources, that's a difficult decision to make.
It's an interesting decision.
Or I'm getting rid of my worst thing because it's not really doing anything anymore.
Okay, I think chosen character would also be something from your hand. That's how I would read that. I know this is like the kind of rules minutiae that they'll need to clarify, but certainly in Marvel Champions, that would mean from your hand or from your play area.
I think it's play area.
Okay.
I think you can choose characters that are in your play area.
Okay.
For most... Because how would you choose another player's card in their hand?
No, you wouldn't choose another player's card. You can choose a character in your hand, in your play area, or in another player's play area. That's how I would
it's a possibility, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we need to see the full... Well, I've said we've seen the full rules. We've seen
the quick start rules.
The quick start rules, and that kind of tells us everything we need to know. There are still some questions around, like, shift cards when you play a card on top of another card, and
like we've just said, there's questions now around Let It Go.
Yeah, there's now questions.
Don't hold it back anymore, Simeon. Don't hold it back. Just let those questions go.
I will. I'm just going to let that whole reference go. And instead of that, I'm going to look at our show notes and decide what's coming up next.
Well, we've got some other gameplay observations if we wanted to, or we can move on to the next part of the discussion.
Anything else you wanted to talk about?
I don't think we talked about this. How you can only challenge exhausted characters.
Oh yeah, this is something. Yeah, this is a big difference for a lot of games that I've played. Is that you can only challenge characters that are already sideways exerted, which to me that is a really interesting, especially for a racing game, for a game where you're racing to a point, to a number.
Yeah.
Is do I
Yeah.
do the thing now, but have to leave my character sideways and vulnerable to attack, or do I
stay defensive?
Do I just stay super defensive and wait? And I think there will be. I think what we'll see is there will. Goes on to the next point I was going to make. So hopefully you won't mind me jumping ahead a little bit. And on strategy, is that the strategy that interests me the most is just racing. Just get it done as quickly as possible. I want to. If I can win the game on turn 5,
so you're going to put a lot of Olaf in your deck. Is that what you're saying?
Probably not Olaf. No, but
cost 1. You can get it out. Get 2 Olafs out on turn 2.
Yeah,
3 Olafs out already.
And then they're squishy though. They're made out of snow.
They've got 3 willpower.
Yeah, maybe.
It's quite a lot of willpower for a
Yeah, it could be good. I don't know. But yeah, but then there will be other decks from a strategy point of view who look like they're not doing an awful lot.
But then we'll suddenly melt all your Olafs and then...
Yeah, and we'll be like, okay, I'm going to stay defensive. Okay, I'm now ready to do the thing. Turn everything sideways, generate 12 lore in one go, and exile half of your thing. Banish half of your characters. And you're like, oh, great. So that will be
That's
interesting.
the kind of deck that I normally play, isn't it?
No, David, don't do that. Don't do that.
So why I think this mechanic is also really interesting of you can only challenge exhausted characters because it gives quite a strong level of protection to characters that aren't exhausted.
Yes.
And that's quite significant when those characters have powerful abilities. So, for example, someone like Wayward Sorcerer, while Wayward Sorcerer is out, you pay 1 less to play Broom characters.
Yeah.
So if you've built a deck of Brooms, I don't know if you would, I don't know if that's possible, there's certainly 1 Broom, but if you have, then that's a really powerful card. So you might not want to be exerting it because you want it there. So you've got that ramp effect towards Broom characters.
But it gives you it's double lore for 4.
It's 2 lore.
2 lore every time you turn it sideways.
Yeah, but then it's not just that ramp I just talked about for Brooms. You've then got, whenever one of your Brooms characters is banished in a challenge, you may return that card to your hand. So we've talked about how cards, that's not card draw, but that's card advantage. So it's So if...
I know you're excited about this. We've seen 1 Broom. You could have 4 Brooms in your deck.
But hopefully there's lots of Brooms in Disney. There's Cinderella.
Cinderella has a Broom, yeah.
There's Enchanted.
Does Enchanted have a...
I presume Giselle has a Broom in... Maybe not, she's a princess. I know she had... There's a working song in Enchanted. There is definitely a Broom.
Sure.
You've
got high hopes for the Broom-Meta.
But this kind of, maybe there won't be that many Brooms, but these kind of effects, if you've built a deck around them, do you want to keep your Mickey upright and safe so that you're getting those advantages? Or do you, like you said, it's very tempting, just, they won't attack this turn.
Here's my prediction for Mickey, Wayward Sorcerer, Purple Mickey.
Yeah.
First of all, can I just say, Nicholas Cole, amazing art, beautiful card, looks great.
It's stunning.
I think this is the card which is in the starter deck, which tells you how to play the starter deck, and it's the one that people take out with the Brooms.
They don't like the Brooms and they don't like the Mickey.
It's not that they don't like it. It's just not that competitive. But it tells you how to do it. It's like here's how to play the purple bit of this deck. That's my prediction. Anyway, it's based on nothing at all. Based on nothing.
I'm excited about Wayward Sorcerer Mickey. Anyway,
certainly a beautiful artwork.
Yeah. So the character that you're excited about as well, Maurice. Again, would you turn Maurice sideways or would you keep Maurice upright because you want to be able to keep drawing cards every time you play an item?
I think once you've got Maurice out, he's got 7. I mean, it depends. Maurice is a chunky boy.
He's got lots of willpower.
Chunky boy.
Willpower.
His willpower is chunk.
He's got grit and determination.
He's got grit, determination. He's got a little spyglass thing on top of his head. And he's got 7 willpower. That's a lot of willpower. So maybe you do turn him sideways.
You've got to be pretty determined if you're locked in by a beast, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, Maurice. So Maurice says if whenever this character quests, you pay 2 for your next
you may want to quest.
So you
Maurice.
have to. You pay 2 less for the next item. You pay.
But that's the ramp side of it. But then it's also got
whenever you play an item, you may draw a card. Here's what you do with Maurice. Quest with Maurice, and then you play a 2 item for free.
And then you draw a card.
And then you draw another card to play, which will be an item. Yeah, but
then someone attacks you with challenges you with 2 characters that have got 5 strength or whatever it's called.
Yeah, he does only hit backwards for 2. Yeah. No, you're totally right. You're totally right. It is definitely a concern.
I would keep Maurice upright, personally.
This, again, comes down to card draw. I mean, if you haven't got any cards in your hand, you're going to be looking for the thing that's going to end the game, not for the tiny little item that you can pay for free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you jumped ahead to the strategy discussion.
Yeah, on the strategy, I guess, when it comes to this type of race game, the piece of advice that I was given when I started playing trading card games was play to your outs, which basically means if you have a plan, just stick to that plan. Don't go crazy following different, great, but maybe I could challenge their thing and banish it and that would feel good.
That's in how you build the deck, because you have a plan for the deck.
How you build the deck is you build the deck with a plan, and then
and don't get distracted at that point as well, because it's easy in deck building to get distracted. I'd just like to throw in a bit of this.
Yeah,
I
just
really
do a
like
little
this
bit of
character.
this. Have a plan. So the thing that I'm excited about when I build my first Lorcana deck, and then when I'm playing it, is okay. Here's the plan, and I think the thing that's interesting when you have a new trading card game is which plan works the best. Because let's say that my plan is filling my deck with a load of items, 4 copies of Maurice, so I can play those items for cheaper, and then draw loads of cards to then find my big bomb finishers that are going to win me the game on turn 6 or 7. Brilliant. Excellent. If that's my plan... is that a better plan than someone else's plan, which is to fill their deck full of tiny little creatures and play them as quickly as and play them as quickly as possible? Or is the better plan? Save up, play super defensive until turn 9 or 10, and then do everything in one turn. So I think that'll be really interesting. I think that finding that kind of rock, paper, scissors, what beats what thing will
and it will never
really
be solved completely. That's at least if this is well designed, which I presume it is. It's never a final answer to that question.
I don't know.
I think there will be.
Well, it depends how many people are playing.
As more sets, with each set, it adjusts what's called the meta, doesn't it? So everything shifts all the time.
I think even in sets, especially in games with more and more cards, you do end up with, there's a strategy that is better than anything else. I think, when we look at things like Legacy and Magic the Gathering, which uses all of the cards from forever.
There is a way.
People play a lot of different things because they enjoy playing those things, and that's not to say those things don't ever win, but there's 2 or 3 things that people play. And the same with I think this is why I was a little disappointed that it's not coming out with a digital version straight away. But as soon as you have a lot of people playing a lot of matches digitally, then that
things
generates...
get solved because it's a load of data that you've got there.
Exactly. You can get a load of data from that, and you can kind of solve these things. Or you can play top-tier decks.
Okay. So you can your strategy tip, which is know what your deck's doing and do it.
And so don't get distracted.
So my strategy tip I'm not saying get distracted, but it's kind of... So if you're talking about having a really nice, powerful engine, my strategy tip is make sure you've got the fuel to run that engine. Make sure your deck ticks over nicely.
Oh, so definitely.
Put in. So I would say think about what we talked about ramp. So can you get ahead with your ink? If you can get that into your deck, in terms of if it synergizes with what else you're doing, then definitely do that.
Yeah.
And also if you can get card draw in there or card advantage in there, so cards coming back to your hand is card advantage. Moving through your deck, we'll talk about that in one of your favourite cards in a minute, is card advantage. Those things are also really important alongside they will help your deck do what your deck does more effectively.
Yeah, and it's very tempting to go, oh, I just opened a pack of cards and there was this dragon in it. I'll put the big dragon in. What shall I take out? Oh, the puny little things. And
the thing that gives me card draw.
Yeah, the thing
boring.
that makes it. The thing that makes my deck work is the thing I've taken out. Oh, never mind, but I've got these things though. They're cool and shiny. Yeah, they are cool and shiny, but you might not be able to play them because if you don't get to turn 8, you're not playing your 8-drop if you can't generate resources to play it.
This kind of discussion is what I'm really looking forward to in the future as we disagree on this stuff. But that's our initial thoughts, isn't it? On some
Do we disagree on those things? I don't know.
Well,
we've got different play styles.
We've already disagreed on Olav.
Yeah, we've got different play styles. I'm definitely an aggro player. I just want to do things as quickly as possible.
And I want to stop you doing that thing or I want to let you do it until you think you're about to win.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Then do the jujitsu or aikaido move of like turn all that power against you. That's my favorite.
Yeah. And I think that could be, both of those powerful things could be really powerful strategies. Because in other trading card games we've played, I mean, the aggro is like, if I haven't won by this turn, I'm just not going to win.
You've run out of your steam then.
I've just run out of steam. I've just burnt through too much and I just haven't got there. I just haven't quite got there. But whereas I think that in particular where you're exerting your characters to generate the lore, I think there's going to be I think there will be decks that literally don't tap their characters until they're about to win, until the turn before they win, and you're just left there going, but I can't do anything to them. So that'll be interesting. Okay, so before we move on to our top card picks, we made some predictions. But I didn't make any predictions. In October, you made some predictions.
Well, they were in discussion with you. We'd had lots of... This was only a month after it came out, so I'm quite impressed looking back.
Okay.
We had an idea that we'd run a blog and have a website and things like that. And we've ended up writing 2 articles in total in the past few months. But
my question to you, David, is where's all these articles you were going to write?
I know. There's just not... I don't know. Maybe they'll come.
Okay, so I'm going to drop in the show notes. I'm going to drop a link back to the article that David wrote in October. It still reads really well. It's still super fun.
It's more funny now, especially the opening, because I was really confident in the opening, and the opening part is where I was wrong. Well, kind of wrong. So what we didn't know is at that time we didn't know what the symbol down the right and the bottom was called.
Yep.
And we didn't know that actually for confirmed until the rules came out. I don't think.
Yeah, I think at that point it had kind of, we had seen enough that we
accepted it as law.
We accepted it
but
as
at that point
law,
it was really up in the air. But I said the symbol is called law, so I was right about that. I said that I also said that the card backs matter, that you would turn cards over to do something, so I was right about that. I was wrong about why the card backs mattered.
Yes.
So I was saying you would turn over the card on the back, because the law symbol is also on the back of the card.
Yeah, it's also on the back of the card, yeah.
You would turn them over to track how much law you've got, because you want to get law to win.
Yes.
And that wasn't immediately, that was another prediction that's come right as well, I guess. So a lot of it came true. And then some of what you've been talking about more recently has also come to pass in terms of making difficult choices of, do I use this card as resource or do I use it as the character?
Yeah.
So we've done pretty well, I think.
Yeah. I'm now absolutely gutted. Somebody said to me, do you want to wager a tenner on the fact that, what was it now? It was something that there are resource cards.
So they were saying there definitely is, and you were saying there's definitely not. Yeah.
This was on Twitter, and I was like, no, I'm good.
You were more confidence in your opinions, Simeon.
I'm just tight, that's what it is.
So we've got a few more things still to get through. So one of the things we're looking at is our top cards picks so far, what favourite cards that make us excited so far.
Yeah, so the Twitter account Lorcana with an E, which is not going to be confusing at all moving forward. So this is Lore E Kana, at Lore E Kana on Twitter, said, based on the cards you've seen so far, what cards are you most excited to build around? And this kind of like our top card picks versus kind of like, and what I don't know. Build around is really difficult. Build around at the moment, I keep on saying it. We've seen a third of the first set. I'm not building yet. I've got ideas, but I'm not building yet. But yeah, what are your top cards? You've already talked about the Sorcerer, David.
Yeah, and you've already taken me off of Sorcerer. Like,
Really?
no,
I want you to be excited for the Sorcerer.
Okay, well, my initial cards that I put into this section weren't in answer to this question of what ones do I want to build around. They were just what cards do I think are quite interesting and powerful in this game.
I think it's definitely an interesting thing.
Yeah, so the Sorcerer, because it's got ramp and card draw,
yes.
card advantage, sorry.
Definitely.
It returns cards to your hands. That's why I like Sorcerer.
It's also got goofy brooms.
Goofy brooms, yeah.
As in not the character Goofy, as in actually Goofy.
There's brooms. Goofy that are brooms. Okay. And the other one I put, and what's interesting is that's a purple card, and there's another question about colours later, about what colours we're interested in.
Yeah.
Neither of these colours of these cards are the ones I'm interested in, but the cards are just like, they're both Mickey Mouse cards. The other Mickey Mouse card I like is Brave Little Tailor, partly because I own it, but
okay.
also
Good
because
reason.
it's what we would call a 5-turn clock if you've got one of them out, because each time you can tap it for 4 lore. You can exert it and you get 4 lore. So in 5 turns you would have 20 lore just with that. And because it's got that evasive characteristic, it's difficult to challenge it as well.
I also think that this is, I mean, obviously this was the first card that was spoiled. This was the first thing that we ever saw of the game. So there has to be some significance to that. And also I feel like the deck that wants to play this card will have 4 copies.
Yeah.
And on turn 7 or 8, will play one and will have already drawn the second. Because you've already, at that point, you've gone through at least a quarter, if not a third of your deck.
Yeah.
So you've probably found...
So there's going to be another one coming out, and then, so they'll quite quickly amass that. And because it's a red deck, they've probably got quite a lot of lore already, because they'll have been going aggressive on trying to get lore. That's what the red deck wants to do. So
the only thing that could stop this is 8 too much? That's the only thing that I think could stop that being super powerful.
Is what?
Is 8 too much?
Is 8 is a lot, isn't it, to spend on it? Yeah. But it's really, I love how thematic it is that it's got lots of lore, because Mickey's this little tailor that goes off to fight a giant and then comes back to tell the story. So, yeah.
No, I love
I like that. I like the thematic side of that. So what are your top cards?
Before we move on to my top cards, can I attempt to get you excited about Sorcerer and Mickey again? I have a gift from Disneyland.
You have a gift from Disneyland? Oh my goodness, what is this? Sorcerer Mickey. Oh my goodness. Is this for me?
This is for you.
Oh, I'm so excited about this.
Sorry, I've just given David.
This is a pin badge.
Oh, yeah.
Can I describe it?
Of course.
And it says Disneyland Paris on the label, and it is a pin badge of Sorcerer Mickey. It's very cool. Thank you, Simeon.
Well, I thought you liked that card. Half of me was like, I wanted to get Sorcerer Mickey because I knew you liked Sorcerer Mickey.
Yeah.
Half of it was, remember when you...
No, let's not remember about this.
When you put on Twitter, the new card had been revealed and it was a hox.
It was
a Sorcerer Mickey. So
yeah.
that's why I actually bought it, David. Sorry.
Thank you.
It's half a present, half, an insult. Anyway, my cards that I'm liking.
Let's quickly move on to your cards.
Okay, so I don't know, when I sent you through these cards, were you like, yeah, that's good? Or were you like, who are you and what have you done with Simeon? Because this is not my play style at all.
Okay, yeah.
But I find
and the
these
same with my
interesting.
Mickeys that I picked. They're not my play style. So certainly not the Brave Little Tailors.
When you asked me, okay, what cards do you want to talk about? I was like, okay.
I mean, the more I thought about them, the more I liked them. But I was like, really?
Okay,
because I've chosen my cards because they're like iconic characters, and you've like chosen. Can I say one? You've chosen coconuts.
I've chosen coconuts. Yeah. Okay. Before that, the card that I think will be in every single blue deck is Develop Your Brain. It costs 1. It's common. Thank you very much for printing this at common, because I think this will go on. Is in particular in.
It's a kind of card that will be a staple forever.
I feel like, unless they print better versions of it, which they could do. Anyway, let me tell you what it is. It's an action. It costs 1. It can also go in your inkwell. This isn't just you're stuck with it if you don't play it.
And lots of actions can't go in your inkwell as well.
Yeah. So this is super good value. Only costs 1. And it says, action, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one in your hand and the other on the bottom of the deck. So this takes your 60 card deck
down to 46 cards. No, 56 cards, sorry.
No, down to many, many fewer. If you're looking for the best,
you can look at 2, yeah,
that's
and
it.
choose, yeah. Okay,
I look at the 2 cards, and I look at the next card that's coming up, and I go, do I want that one or do I want that one?
Card advantage because you're getting the choice. It's not technically card draw because you're playing a card to get a card. So you're just replacing the card that you used.
You're replacing the card that you used, but you're replacing it with the thing with the best out
really
of 2.
Want. Yeah.
So what would you rather have, a card, or would you like a choice between 2 cards? I would always like a choice between 2 cards, please.
Even if it was just pay 1 and draw a card, that's a valid card because it cycles your deck quicker, even though that seems really boring. So when I was saying it's like it turns your 60-card deck into a 56-card deck, that's better because you're more consistent, which means you're more likely to get the cards that you want. But because you can even delve a little bit deeper into your deck and then choose, it's like, it's a really nice card.
This is a very...
I'm just sad it's not a song because I would want... it wouldn't be Develop Your Brain, would it? But it would be so fun if it was a song because it's going to be so often played.
Yeah, this is from Sword in the Stone. It's got the dude from Sword in the Stone looking at a mountain of books, and the quote is from Merlin, which says, "Knowledge, wisdom, there's the real power." Which I thought, that's good.
Okay, Coconut Basket. What's that about, Simeon? It's 2 cost. It can go in your inkwell.
2 costs. It can go in your inkwell. It can go in your. I like this because it goes.
Turned you into a blue player. You're never a blue player.
So it says, whenever you play a character, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. Now, I don't.
What's the lesson? What's the takeaway here?
Sorry,
what's the lesson? What's the takeaway?
I don't know. This is going to be very meta dependent. If you're playing against a lot of things that are dealing more than 2 damage, then this is going to be maybe okay at some points. For me, this is the fact that if I can't interact on your turn, I want my turn to be as efficient as possible. Mm-hmm. So what I want to do is, if I'm challenging your character, it's going to hit back.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to challenge your character and negate the hit back. Do you see what I mean?
Or at least some of the hit back, yeah.
So negate, some of the kickback. So what I think that will be.
Have we said what it does? When you play a character, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character.
I already read that, mate.
You did, didn't you? Okay, you can cut that bit out, Simeon.
No, I won't. The power of editing. Anyway, I think this will be a really good thing. Also, it's when you play a character, so I challenge you, you don't know what I'm spending my ink yet. You don't know what's coming out of my hand that turn.
Yeah.
So if you know I'm playing blue, there's always a chance that, play another character. Oh, well, you can't kill that next turn. Do you know what I mean? So it's very much that kind of dependent on, okay, I'm playing my turn, I'm sequencing things right. Yeah. I like to build a little machine. So I'd love to build a little machine where on any given turn, I develop my brain. I play my little thing where I select the card that I want.
Yeah.
I get the item out. I challenge something. I draw another card from the thing.
So my query. So the last card.
The last card is Maurice.
Develop your brain. Sorry. Develop your brain. The previous card was like that. Obviously goes in any blue deck. There's just no reason not to put it in. This one's. I see the value that you're saying, but alongside that, you've got to be putting in big characters that can have enough willpower. If they don't survive, then you don't heal them. Yeah, that's a big problem. And it only costs 2, so you're getting out on turn 2 maybe, but then you might not be getting those big characters out to turn 4, 5, 6. So it's.
But you don't. If you're putting the smaller characters in, you don't necessarily want to. If you're playing a deck full of bigger characters, what are you doing on turn 2 if you're not preparing for them?
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Got it. Yeah.
So you're playing this on turn 2 in anticipation of playing something worthwhile healing on turn 3 or 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, it's for free if you play it with Maurice. It's totally free. The card we were talking about before.
Go on then. Tell us about Maurice.
Because Maurice is a 6 cost.
Another blue card.
Another blue card. This is my little combo.
I'm sure you're not feeling well today, Simeon. Blue. You never blue.
So I play Maurice. I quest with Maurice. When it says give it a try, if this character quests, you pay 2 less for the next item you play this turn. So I play Maurice, I quest with Maurice,
You can't quest on the same turn with Maurice. Next,
Oh, sorry,
Maurice,
the following turn.
The following
yeah,
turn
okay.
you
At some point,
Maurice,
I quest with Maurice to get 2 lore, and I can pay 2 less for my coconut, which comes out and heals the character that had already taken damage.
Well, no, then you need to play another character. But yeah, your coconut comes out, and then you pay another character. Yeah, got it.
I'm all good. And then when I play the coconut, I
You get to draw a card. Yeah,
with Maurice.
It's a nice little combo going on there. Yeah,
I don't know. I think those 2 cards, the Develop Your Brain and the Coconut Basket.
You think Coconut Basket will be a staple in blue? I don't.
I think it's powerful. I don't know if 2's enough. I don't know if 2 healing's enough, and I don't know the size of the creatures. But looking at the moment, if we keep the spread we've got, we're not just going to be playing little 2 and 3 cost creatures.
We don't yet know how you remove items as well, or if they can be. But just to point out that for value, you've got to use Coconut Basket twice to get the 2 cost value from it, because is it the Healing Balm or something like that? Costs 1. It's an action, and that heals 2 damage for 1.
But that's 1 card.
Yeah. So it's cycling your deck as well. You've got rid of it.
Is that a good thing? I don't know. For me, it's like, which do I put in? Do I put in a Coconut Basket or do I put in a Healing Balm? The Coconut Basket I could use 3-4 times. Probably.
You probably would use it 3-4 times. Yeah, that's true.
Also, I like the political aspect of it in a multiplayer game. Mm-hmm. If someone's just really behind, or if someone's trying to remove something that's problematic for them but not for you, you go, I'll heal your character. I haven't got anything to heal on my board. Yeah, lots of reasons to like the coconuts.
Politics. Okay,
coconuts.
Let's move on to some listener questions.
Great. Yeah, so we already responded to the one from Lorcana. Yeah. Jared asked us a question. Jared, citizens of Lorcana, if you don't follow him already on Twitter, you need to. Asked, what ink pairings are you liking and why?
So this goes completely against the cards I've just recommended.
Okay.
So blue and grey, sapphire and steel is my pairing that I'm falling into at the minute. Because of the nature of blue, as we talked about, there's just so many good things that you can do with it. Like there's 1 jump ahead in blue as well, the song action, then that's ramp, that lets you put the top card of your deck into your inkwell. And then the steel grey for me is mainly about
you just want to play a card with a frying pan on it, don't you?
No, I want to play Captain Hook and Tinkerbell. And,
okay.
I'm not so worried about Simba's cool. Yeah, the Beast Mirror, that's card draw as well.
Yep.
So I'm maybe grey, maybe purple, but blue's kind of my center of gravity. I think it always will be.
Yeah, so I think I too am leaning towards blue initially. I just think that there's an awful lot of interesting cards that I've seen there. Mm-hmm. Let It Go that I mentioned before is also blue. I think I'm going to pair it though either with green. We had Lady Tremaine, who is the evil stepmother for people who don't know.
In Cinderella, yeah.
Was revealed. She's a 6-cost character, and her ability is do it again. When you play this character, you can return an action card from your discard to your hand. I think there are some good actions in blue, and then green will put them back in your hand. That would be nice, interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also really want to play
6 to get that card back, Simeon. 6.
But you also get a 1/5. We don't know what lore it's got on it yet.
Okay, so it might have lore on it that's not shown.
That's not shown. Okay, yeah. And the other one is the Cheshire Cat. I think it's just going to be so annoying to play around. The Cheshire Cat is a 0/3, but when this character is challenged and banished, banish the challenging character.
That's really nasty. And does it have lore?
It has 2 lore on it.
Oh, that's like, yeah.
So yeah, it's just gonna sit out, and you're gonna do. What do I do?
Don't choose green, Simeon. Please don't choose green.
Green is also the color of Robin Hood, which looks gas as well. Cruella de Vil. When this character is challenged and banished, you return the chosen character to the player's
You're winning
hand.
me over. You're winning me over. Don't do this. I don't want to go green.
Yeah. In Magic the Gathering, call it Simic Value. That's what blue and green in Magic's called, and it does
synergize really well.
A lot of the same stuff.
Got Aladdin as well.
It's like, I've got some stuff back. You remember this thing that I played last turn? I'm gonna play it again.
Okay, so yeah, you're excited about blue and green.
Definitely.
I'm not going there. I'm just not going there. Blue, and then maybe purple, or maybe steel, grey.
Okay, what's the next question?
The next question is for you. I presume it's for you.
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Here we are.
I'll read it because it's for you. Your voice is as amazing as your beard.
It is.
And your beard is as amazing as your voice as well. I think that's both ways. Bravo. Can we get videos of you singing the songs when you play them? I presume this means like when we're playing Lorcana, I get my phone out and take a video of you, Simeon. I think that's put it on TikTok.
No. Next question.
Next question. That was the quick one.
That was quick, yeah. Artem. So Artem we had on the podcast a couple of episodes ago. If you haven't heard that episode, go back and listen. Artem's the guy behind Lorcana.com, which is the database that we're using at the moment to look at all of the cards. Said, do you expect to see Lorcana promos at Disney parks? And also asked, what was your favourite...
I think it's what was child's favourite attraction.
What was child's favourite attraction? Okay, let's talk about the promos at Disney parks first. So I don't know what the parks are like in the rest of the world. It seems like, from what I've seen online, that in particular in the US, I don't know, there's also Hong Kong, and there are parks in Asia as well, Tokyo as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like there, but in Paris at least, the shops all seem to sell stuffed toys and T-shirts and pins. And I don't want to... I mean, I don't think I've got anything bad to say about the experience of going to Disneyland. I mean, it's expensive, but it's great. I really enjoyed the time I was there.
Yeah.
But the shops themselves, I thought that they could sell so many more things. There weren't really any...
They'll have tested that, they've seen.
Oh, yeah, they've tested it. Oh, yeah, that's it. They've tested that. But I would have enjoyed if they had games. They didn't really have any games as such. If I was looking around for different things firstly for me to take something home as a little memento, because it's not just the kids that want. I bought stuffed toys for the kids. The kids had pocket money to spend, and they didn't spend it in Disneyland, which for me was like, what? And they were like, well, I'll get something different online, which maybe that's just where we currently live.
Okay, yeah.
But they could have afforded to buy stuff there. I was willing to open my wallet and just go, yeah, you know what? It's a treat. Let's just do it. And they weren't that interested in a lot of the stuff. It did seem generally mass market stuff.
But it's also about the distribution networks within an organisation, the internal politics, the different systems and processes that Disneyland has compared to Disney, compared to Ravensburger. Like, there's a lot of hurdles that I can see that they would have to overcome to get them in the shops. But that said, pins are really collectible, and this game is really collectible.
Yeah, this game's really collectible, so it could be like that. Yeah. But there weren't any other trading cards or stickers or anything like that.
There has been a trading card game that you can buy.
That you could buy. Yeah, in the card. Yeah, no.
That you got the cards when you went to Disneyland.
I don't know if it was it. Was
and
it
you
in
played
Europe
the
as
game?
well?
No, this was in the US, and you played the game in Disneyland. It was like part of the game was you went to this area within Disneyland and you got your card and you solved this puzzle with your cards.
And I would say that seems very Disney. The experience of being in the park was as much being in the park as going on the actual rides. But I felt like, at least in Disneyland Paris, I felt that there was, because I was looking for something to bring back for you as well, and I got I found a pin that was kind of cool, but I was like, oh yeah, maybe they'll just have some Disney themed playing cards or like a fun little game or something like that. They didn't really have any of that. My kids would have really loved if there had been like Disney Switch games or Xbox games there. They didn't have those.
That maybe indicates that it's partly about distribution networks as well. Then,
I don't know. I don't know why it was. Anyway, in answer to your question, Martin, I would love to see that there were, in particular, promos that you're going to that park. Pick up one of these promos.
You get it for free.
Either for free or for doing something. If you've queued for such and such a ride, here's a thing. Or in the restaurants, oh great, here's a you're eating this meal.
That seems like a lot better deal for Ravensburger than for Disneyland, though. Ravensburger would be stoked if they got that right, whereas Disneyland would be,
I don't know. I mean, people are spending a lot of money in Disneyland anyway. I don't know what the the business. Don't know what the sensible business decision is.
I guess it depends how successful Lorcana is as well. That's going to be a big part of where.
Oh, totally. And the last thing that I would want is for there to be some promos or things, and then people not really appreciate them, not know what they're doing with them, chuck them in the bin, or for them to be super sought after things that just scalpers go online afterwards and get 15 copies and sell them online for however much. I don't know. That said. It was an exciting experience if there had been somewhere to queue up for something. Oh, if you meet this character and ask them for a card of them, they will give you a card. The other thing that I think will be really interesting is there are an awful lot of... so I don't know if you're aware, so there are loads of meet the character things, and people queue for a long time to meet the characters they want to meet. I was queuing for...
To have a photo with them, or you get to talk to them?
You get to talk to them. They're
French?
Totally
in English?
I think from what I saw, they were all speaking English and French. I don't know. They might speak other languages as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
They were really good. The people doing it were really good. Obviously, really good actors. But a lot of people were collecting the autographs of the characters. So I think that would be a cool thing to do. Would be to take your
cards autographed.
Get your card. Oh yeah. Get your Tigger card signed by Tigger. Get your Mickey Mouse card signed by Mickey Mouse.
You've already given me a life mission now.
There you go. Yeah, you will be queuing for quite a while. We were queuing for. I can't remember which ride it was. It was one of the ones where the queue was largely outdoors.
I mean, that's what they should rename all theme parks is Queue Land, shouldn't they? That's like.
I mean, you know what? It wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad. Okay.
Most of the queues were under half an hour.
Okay.
And also, the thing that I really liked was the time that it said. It says, "Oh, the queue is currently."
It was accurate.
Well, no, it was slightly less than. So
that's even better.
Yeah, that it was like this queue is 25 minutes long, and you're looking at go, that's probably worthwhile joining. And a lot of them were like, that's 15 minutes, and for kids, that's so
the way
much
you
better.
want to do it. Is like. Under promise,
over deliver. Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I'm getting tired.
Now. Anyway, so I was queuing up for this ride, and Donald and Daisy were next to it, and oh my goodness, like we got on the ride before the person that were joining the queue for Donald and Daisy met them, because obviously it's one or two people at a time, so you understand how that is. Anyway, that's what I would like to see in the parks. Yeah, when you meet a character, ask them for their Lorcana card if they had them, or that there was a way of getting them, or that they would sign them. That would be really good.
I've got another question, Simeon, from a listener, from Artem as well. And I think by the power of technological recording magic, you're not going to answer this.
So, what was the child's favourite attraction? So, in the park, we decided to do a little podcast while we were queuing. We were just talking about queuing. And you know what? We did one on the second ride. We did a recording. And on the last ride of the day, while we were waiting for the last ride, we did another recording. Because, you know what? There was so much to do. We didn't really get that bored. So, you'll be able to hear the child.
I think this is a world first of a Lorcana podcast or content
from Disneyland.
Recorded in Disneyland.
Yeah, you know what? I was going to do some TikToks from there, but I was just I was too busy. I was having fun. I was with my family, enjoying myself. Anyway, but the child is so excited at the first recording, and by the last recording you'll hear, he's just so tired. He's just like, I'm still having fun, but I'd like to have fun in bed now. Yeah, anyway, let's roll the tape. Is the child?
Hello?
No, you've got to be a lot louder than that in Disneyland.
Hello?
Where are we?
Disneyland.
You don't have to growl.
Ah! I just went on a ride and it hurts.
What hurts?
My throat.
From all of the screaming?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. What ride did you just go on?
Hyperspace Mountain.
And for someone who's never been on Hyperspace Mountain, can you describe that in an audio fashion?
Horrible.
What? Did you not enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. Very loud. Very gross.
Gross? I thought it was amazing.
I did, but it was annoying.
Okay, what are we queuing for now?
Orbitron.
Did you have to have that whispered to you?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so it's the end of the day. What was your favourite ride?
Big Thunder Mountain.
Why was that your favourite ride?
Because it was really fast and really fun.
It was so long too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, have you ever been outdoors this late before?
Dunno.
No, I don't know either. It's pretty late. It's pretty cool. Okay, are you tired?
Kind of.
Bedtime?
No.
Sounds fun.
It was a really fun day. Really fun day. Right, we've spoken for long enough. If people want to get in touch, how would they do that, David?
They can tweet us at Lorcana Podcast. They can write us an email at lorcanapodcast@gmail.com. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, we're also on TikTok.
We're also on TikTok.
And I've actually started uploading some things onto TikTok as well. Like I did at the start, I did quite a few.
Do people communicate on TikTok, or is it just like
There's a lot of people watching stuff on there.
I don't know what TikTok is.
It's like it's like a TV channel.
Okay.
You know when you get up and you kind of retune your TV to a different... No, I'm not going to. Okay. Right. Okay, thank you. It's been absolutely beautiful. We're really excited now the rules are out there.
I'm so much more excited now.
Yeah, it's great. So, definitely more podcasts to come with looking at strategy, looking at the next cards that are going to be revealed.
Card evaluation and strategy.
Card evaluation is definitely going to be the major thing. We've still got 2/3 of the set to go before before the launch, and as I'm sure that more and more things will come out as the different events happen and the different content comes out.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Simeon.
All right, bye.
Bye.